The Money Cycle Within Olympic Sports by Bruce Vu. The money cycle can be defined as the continual and accelerating flow of money in sports, from the public to advertisers, to television networks, to leagues and owners, then to players. We can already see this cycle in the NFL and the NBA. But in order to understand how this cycle applies to the Olympics, we'll need to look at the early days of Olympic funding. The Olympics are run by the International Olympic Committee, or the IOC, and they have been holding the Olympics since 1896 with the Summer Olympics in Athens. Funding for this game started off with people purchasing stamps and tickets. Then in the 1908 Summer Olympics in London, the very first sponsor was OXO, the official caterer for the games at that time. BBC became the first television network to buy broadcast rights from the IOC at the 1948 Summer Olympics in London. And then from Eyes of a Generation, CBS paid $50,000 for the rights to broadcast the games in the US, making it the first time that the games were televised there. This allowed for more people to watch the games. Today, we're going to focus on how the money cycle applies to the United States Olympic Committee. The money cycle in the Olympics starts with the people, because without people, the money cycle will collapse. They bring views to television networks and contribute to advertisers by purchasing their products. Next, we'll look at TV networks. TV networks rely on views, and as they get more views, it draws in advertisers that are willing to pay them for access to those viewers. Then these TV networks use the money that they get from advertisers to purchase the broadcast rights from the IOC, helping TV networks maintain viewers. NBC currently hosts the broadcast rights for the Olympics, and the Sports Digest reported that NBC extended their broadcast rights for $7.75 billion, taking them through to 2032. That's money going to the IOC and how advertisers reach their target audience. Now, taking a look at advertisers, they are funded by people buying the products they advertise, especially those endorsed by athletes. Advertisers use that money they get from the people to become a sponsor for the Olympics, with companies like Toyota and Coca-Cola being a few out of the many. Being a sponsor gives companies access to use the Olympic rings alongside their own logo. So then, these corporate companies pay TV networks to advertise their products to their target audience. From the official website of the Olympics, 18% of funding is from marketing. This makes advertisers a big component in the money cycle, as they're funding both the IOC and TV networks. As the IOC is funded by NBC and its sponsors in the US, they use that money to aid the United States Olympic team. Bloomberg wrote that the United States Olympic Committee gives out about $50 million to more than 40 national sport federations every year. This funding goes to support the sport federations such as USA Gymnastics and USA Basketball in preparing athletes for the Olympics. One way that sport federations gain a following is to have notable athletes. They can do this when they announce their Olympic team roster, or by creating a narrative around an athlete so that fans can follow their journey. In 2016, the National Federation of State High School Associations reported that the IOC, USOC, and NBC Universal created an Olympic channel where fans can watch their favorite US Olympic athletes and teams. Having more ways to learn about these athletes allows fans to learn more about their journey as well as feel more closely connected with them. Now that these sport federations have notable athletes, they'll go on to compete in the Olympics, which brings viewers back to TV networks. To recap, the money cycle in regards to Olympic sports begins with the people providing TV networks views. The views then attract advertisers who pay TV networks for access to viewers. This allows TV networks to pay the Olympic Committee for broadcast rights. The Olympic Committee is then able to fund the Olympic teams to make notable athletes, which then brings back the people. This cycle has allowed the IOC to continue operating the Olympics as the money cycle drives all sports. With NBC becoming the home for the Olympics, and longtime sponsors like Coca-Cola continuing to support the Games, we can expect the Olympics to thrive in the money cycle for years to come.